The Tea Biz podcast delivers tea news that you need to know. A recap of the week's major headlines with commentary and cultural trends hosted by Dan Bolton. It is the voice of origin for tea professionals and enthusiasts worldwide.
Tea nourishes and inspires. It is the most ancient of plant-based medicines, simultaneously energizing the body as it soothes the mind. Making tea is an art and craft as described on the Tea Biz portal. Intimately local, the 200 billion tea trade exerts global influence, employing millions to enhance the well-being of all. Hello, everyone. Tea Biz will be on vacation next week and resume Friday, September 2nd. Here are this week's headlines. As peak retail season nears, experts anticipate holiday eTailing to top $1 trillion. Bangladesh tea workers strike nationwide. And green tea is good for the gut. Plus, the Numi Tea Foundation is coordinating fundraising efforts to bring safe drinking water and life-saving essentials to Ukrainians displaced by war. More in a minute, but first, this important message.
What makes a perfect cup of Ceylon tea? The perfect cup is from the tea businesses that ensure the protection of all the children living within their tea estates. We salute Kailani Valley, Telawakili, Bogawantalawa, Harana, and Elliptia tea estates. Support Save the Children, Sri Lanka.
Tea retailers always welcome the holiday season as their most lucrative quarter. But high inflation, strained supply chains, war, and a persistent pandemic have dampened expectations globally. The UK is experiencing 10.1% inflation, the highest in Europe. The U.S. Commerce Department reports that the economy shrank for 2 consecutive quarters ending July. The average selling price of all goods increased by 11% during the first quarter of the year compared to 2021. Prices for consumer goods were up 9.1% through June. Consumer spending rose 1% in June, but inflation added 1.3% to the cost of goods and services. Full-year retail spending is expected to increase significantly to $7 trillion this year, driven mainly by inflation and higher fuel costs. However, though spending continues, consumer confidence is at its lowest level since tracking began in the 1970s. During the pandemic, customer loyalty shifted to convenience and safety. In 2022, customer loyalty is shifting again, this time to experience and value, according to Salesforce.com. Here are 5 predictions to heed. 1. Shoppers are likely to buy early. A survey of 1,000 U.S. shoppers financed by Optoro reveals that 46% of consumers plan to start holiday shopping earlier than last year. Avoiding shipping delays is a motivating factor, but 34% of respondents also say that shopping earlier extends the time they need to find bargains. 63% of shoppers say retailers should have more items in stock and restock faster than normal, less than a week, during the holiday season. 2. E-commerce volume will set a record at $1 trillion, according to Insider Intelligence Research, but the estimated rate of growth will slow to 9.4% from double digits for the first time since 2009. E-commerce is expected to account for 15% of U.S. retail sales by year-end as customers find a new balance between digital and physical channels. Direct-to-consumer options abound online, with major players like Tata Consumer Products embracing omnichannel tea in competition with regional and even single-estate brands. 3. Value pricing is prudent. 2/3, 66%, of Americans say they are more mindful of how they spend their money, and nearly half, 45%, feel like they can't afford their previous lifestyle, according to a new consumer sentiment survey on inflation commissioned by NCS Solutions. Tea supplies are plentiful, but getting tea to market remains costly. The cost of producing, packaging, and shipping tea has risen faster than what can reasonably be passed on to consumers. In addition, inventories are bulging from overbuying. So as average selling prices increase monthly between 8 and 12%, quote, there is a silver lining for holiday shoppers, the return of discounting, writes Salesforce.com. 4. Labor shortages are feared by 71% of retailers, according to respondents to a survey by omnichannel consultancy Radial. Store associates are tasked with fulfillment and customer service responsibilities. In response, workers are demanding higher wages, flexible hours, and benefits. Job quits in the U.S. currently average 4 million a month, and the unemployment rate is at a 50-year low. 5. Shipping. Port congestion is easing, and rates are down 30 to 50% compared to last year, but remain elevated by more than 4 times pre-pandemic levels. Expect high-priority consumer goods to bid up rates as e-commerce orders continue to surge globally. China reported a decline in factory orders last month, but continues to impose pandemic-related slowdowns, with 5 million tests ordered for the residents of Xiamen this week. Business Insight. Tea and teaware are popular gifts, and seating in cafes and tea rooms spikes as the weather turns chilly. But in 2022, retailers should make online transactions the priority. Tea sellers, large and small, must embrace omnichannel retail and enhance the shopping experience, expand their online capabilities to include speedy delivery, and invest heavily in marketing. A nationwide strike began on August 13th and continues to expand, with protests at government buildings and tea gardens in several regions across Bangladesh. Nearly 150,000 frustrated workers are demanding a wage of 300 takas, about $3 U.S. per day, a 150% increase in the minimum wage. The Tea Workers Union, which represents about 100,000 tea workers, organized a 4-day slowdown at 230 gardens beginning August 9th. Bangladesh Tea Workers Union representative Sitran Bin told The Hindu the union called a full-scale strike when the government failed to intervene. During 2 years of COVID-delayed negotiations, plantation owners signed 2 agreements increasing wages by 14 takas per day from a base of 120 takas. The Bangladesh Tea Association said the rising cost of fuel, fertilizer, and chemical inputs exceeded earnings at many gardens, and they cannot afford a significant increase in daily wages. Bangladesh is the world's 10th largest tea-producing region at 96 million kilos of mainly CTC, that's cut, tear, curl grades, with little pricing power. One assistant manager at a garden that produces 1.5 million kilos annually estimated that 60 of 166 gardens in Sylhet would fail if the government took the workers' side and higher wages prevailed. He said intervals between plucking rounds, typically 7 to 8 days, are now 13 to 15 days after 2,500 field and factory workers participated in the slowdown. Government, labor, and garden owners agreed to meet on August 23rd in Dhaka. Business Insight. Bangladesh is restless, facing spiraling prices in 25 of 26 essential items. Foreign debts total $62 billion, and reserves are declining. This forced the government to secure $6.5 billion in loans from the International Monetary Fund and World Bank. The price of natural gas, which provides 60% of the country's energy, is up 23%. The government last week announced the highest kerosene and petrol prices in Bangladeshi history. Students protest daily in the capital. The right-wing Bangladesh Nationalist Party, BNP, and the Workers' Party of Bangladesh both oppose the 52% increase. Tea protesters are supported by the Left Democratic Alliance, a coalition of 8 political parties, which has called for a general half-day strike in major cities on August 25th to protest rising commodity prices, fuel, and fertilizer. A new study finds that green tea may help patch a leaky gut. Researchers at Pennsylvania State University and Ohio State University found that tea's anti-inflammatory properties may also reduce health risks associated with metabolic syndrome. An abstract of the study published in the journal Current Developments in Nutrition suggests consuming an extract of green tea may reduce blood sugar levels and gut permeability, possibly due to an increase in beneficial microbes in the intestines. The clinical trial involved 40 participants, 21 of whom suffered from metabolic syndrome. The remaining 19 were healthy adults. Half were given gummies containing catechins equal to about 5 cups of green tea for a period of 28 days. All participants then received a placebo for 28 days after a month's break. To minimize the effect of other foods that contain catechins, participants were restricted from eating berries, apples, and other foods containing polyphenols. All participants, healthy and not, showed benefits. Dr. Richard Bruno, senior author and professor of human nutrition at Ohio State, explained that the findings in humans are, quote, quite exciting, end quote, because they confirm some of the previously observed findings in rodents that receive green tea supplements. He told Medical News Today, quote, "The importance of gut health for humans is exemplified by our research and suggests that dietary factors such as green tea that are rich in catechins can help reduce the risk of glucose intolerance by limiting gut inflammation and improving gut integrity," end quote. The Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, commenting on the study, noted that the high concentrations of active ingredients in supplements might be more than some people can tolerate. Excessive consumption of green tea extract can lead to organ damage. The Academy advises tea drinkers to be purists, drinking matcha or green tea daily without additives or sugars. Business Insight. Metabolic syndrome describes a cluster of factors contributing to coronary heart disease, high blood pressure, and diabetes. Indicators include high blood glucose, low HDL, which is the good cholesterol, high triglycerides, which is the bad cholesterol, high blood pressure, and a large waist circumference. A 2015 study estimated that almost 35% of American adults and 50% of those aged 60 and older suffer from metabolic syndrome. Arvinda Anantharaman in Bengaluru reports on this week's tea auction prices.
Siliguri saw a similar trend as the previous week, and among buyers, Tata Consumer products were active for both leaf and dust. In the south, sale volumes were slightly lower than sale 30, while the percentage of sale was good, with 90% of dust sold at Cochin, but 80% of orthodox leaf sold in Cochin and Kannur. Good orthodox tea continues to hold on to the market, opened by the Sri Lankan crisis, and that's expected to continue.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
Hello, I'm Bogdan, a passionate tea drinker and the inventor of the ultimate tea machine, the Brew Maker 1. Preparation is key to making fine tea. Sequential steepings deliver the best taste possible and unlock the true value of whole leaf teas and botanicals. Brew automates that process without using any pots or capsules. This simple-to-operate, smartphone-controlled device stores steeping profiles to consistently make great tea at the push of a button. Brew also reduces time, waste, and energy. That's because I engineered the brew to remember control settings for temperature, brewing time, and quantity. Using my patented process lets you stack steeps simply and conveniently.
Tea-Biz this week travels to Oakland, California, where the Numi Tea Foundation is coordinating fundraising efforts to bring safe drinking water and life-saving essentials to Ukrainians displaced by war.
Millions of Ukrainians have been displaced by the Russian invasion of their country. People have been forced to flee, leaving their families, friends, possessions, their home, and even their homeland. San Francisco-based Numi Organic Tea wanted to do something to help and to assemble their fellow tea drinkers to help too. They have a foundation, the Numi Foundation, that supports the communities where they farm, as well as people in need in the Bay Area, where their head office is located. To support the Ukrainian people, Numi is partnering with two organizations, Waves for Water and MPOWERD, and they have a very specific goal: to raise $1 million to provide clean, safe drinking water and solar-powered lights and charging devices to up to 550,000 displaced Ukrainians. Let's chat with Darian Rodriguez Heyman, the Numi Foundation's Executive Director. Darian, the campaign we're talking about is called Together for Hope. Right now, the Numi Foundation is focused on bringing clean water to displaced Ukrainians, but it's not the first time the foundation has supported clean water initiatives. So why water?
I mean, the short answer is that you can't make tea without it, right? It's clean water, and access to clean and safe drinking water is something we take for granted in this country, but more than 10% of the global population does not enjoy that kind of access. We really started looking at this as a basic human right, and it felt very relevant to the brand to make sure that especially the residents of our Numi farming communities, and Numi's unique in that it knows the exact farm that 89% of their ingredients come from, that they need access to the same clean and safe drinking water that we enjoy here.
And so when you heard about the terrible war in Ukraine, you decided to apply your experience helping with clean water to the Ukrainian people. Is that right?
That's exactly right. We had built up some expertise around fundraising, around project management, around finding the right partners to get clean water projects executed at scale and quickly in Madagascar and South Africa and India. And when the Russian invasion happened and we heard about not only the 5 million refugees, but the 7 million Ukrainians who were displaced and still trapped in the country, living in subways and in basements and having to drink water out of dirty puddles and streams, and that access to clean water was one of the top needs for the Ukrainian people because of the war, it really felt like something that we felt compelled to act upon.
And so is Together for Hope focused on those displaced Ukrainians still in the country of Ukraine?
It is, yeah. So historically, as you mentioned, the program has been focused on Numi farming communities specifically, but in this case, we've kind of repurposed the program and our network and our expertise. We've lined up some partners specific to the Ukraine project that have some relevant expertise. We've already started raising money. We've raised over $150,000 so far, which has enabled us to serve over 79,000 Ukrainians, but we're not even close to done. The goal is to raise $1 million and to help over 550,000 Ukrainians who are still trapped in country but displaced from their homes, and to provide them access to clean and safe drinking water, but also clean solar-powered lighting as well as power, so they can charge their phones and other devices and get access to life-saving resources.
Thanks. That's incredible. What equipment are you distributing to help clean the water?
So for the water, it's a very simple water filter that fits on a bucket. It's standard. It has no moving parts, no electronics, and the typical water filter will last for 20 years. It's good for over 1 million gallons without needing to be serviced or maintained. So they're kind of built to be indestructible and perfect for, a war-torn region like what's happening in Ukraine right now. And then the other product is the empowered solar-powered light and charging station. So people can use the sun to charge it, and then they can plug their phones in. They can access light so that when they're underground, they're able to see what they're doing.
Amazing. How are you actually distributing these products on the ground in Ukraine?
We're leveraging veterans as our boots on the ground. The main implementation partner that we're working with is a group called Waves for Water, and they've been around for over a dozen years. They've worked in over 40 countries and impacted over 4 million people with clean water. And their primary workforce is veterans who have a unique set of skills. They're very comfortable in fluid environments and in war-torn regions. They work after natural disasters, after Haiti, in New Jersey after Hurricane Sandy, where I grew up. But they also worked in Afghanistan and places like that. And so for them, they're pretty comfortable literally diving in and getting the product to the borders.
So I understand that every time someone purchases Numi Organic Tea, they are contributing to initiatives like Together for Hope because the company diverts some of its profits to the foundation. Can our listeners contribute to Together for Hope in any other way?
Yeah, so aside from just buying Numi Organic Tea, which they're always welcome to do, we are inviting donations. We're primarily directing those through the Waves for Water website. It's just waves, FOR, water.org. And right on the homepage, you'll see a link for the Ukraine program. The last thing that I would say is that tea is a vehicle. It's a platform. And I think Numi Tea firmly believes it's a platform for mindfulness, for intentionality, and for ultimately creating the life in the world that we want to see, not only for ourselves, but for those around us. It's by nature a communal drink. And so we'd love to see as many tea drinkers out there as possible join us in the effort to build a better world and make sure that each and every Ukrainian who's been displaced from their home, whether they're a refugee and had to flee or whether they're still in the country, that they have access to the resources and the support they need to rebuild their lives and rebuild their country.
We've been chatting with Darian Rodriguez Heyman, the Numi Foundation's executive director, about their Together for Hope initiative, delivering clean water and solar-powered devices to displaced people in Ukraine. So far, the campaign is at 16% of its $1 million goal. If you can help, visit wavesforwater.org and click on the Ukrainian flag. They would appreciate any help to provide clean water to displaced Ukrainians in their war-ravaged country.
Intrigued by what you heard in today's podcast? Would you like to learn more from our global network of Tea Biz journalists and tea experts? Remember to visit the Tea Biz website for more comprehensive coverage. That's www.t-biz.com. Thanks for listening. Farewell till next week.